Somewhere right now, a company is making millions of dollars without a single employee. No recruiters, no managers, no payroll department, just one founder and an army of software workers that never sleep. If that sounds impossible, we made a whole video on why it's already happening. This one goes further. Because AI runs the company sounds impressive until you ask what that actually means. What's replacing the departments? What's replacing the assistants? What's replacing the decisions? And here's the part almost nobody talks about. Most people who try this fail within a few months. Not because the AI wasn't good enough, but because they built it in the wrong order. There's a specific sequence, a specific blueprint that almost every surviving one-person company eventually discovers, usually the hard way. And there's one job, a single one, that even the most advanced founders still refuse to hand over. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what that job is, and why the businesses that skip it don't just struggle, they quietly collapse from the inside, long before anyone notices. If you've ever thought about building something like this, you're going to want to see where it actually breaks, because that part comes later, and it changes everything before it. Because despite every headline, there's one thing founders still won't automate. And by the time you find out why, you'll understand why most of these companies never make it past month 3. Here's what's strange. Right now, across dozens of these companies, solo founders, 2-person teams, running what used to take 20 people, the same pattern keeps showing up. Different industries, different products, different founders who've never met each other. And yet, almost identical anatomy. A front door, a memory, a production engine, a nervous system, a feedback loop. 5 components, repeated again and again, like evolution found the same solution independently over and over. Because companies aren't disappearing, they're compressing. What once required departments is becoming software. What once required teams is becoming systems. And what once required payroll is becoming leverage. Quick question. If you could give yourself 5 employees tomorrow for less than the cost of a Netflix subscription, what would you ask them to do? Hold that thought, because this is where most people misunderstand the entire movement. They assume these companies get built overnight, one weekend, fully automated. They don't. They're layered, one capability at a time. It almost always starts with the front door. Inbound messages, emails, leads, scheduling. The repetitive work nobody dreamed about doing in the first place. Only once that's proven reliable does the founder add memory, systems that remember customers, pricing, process, history. Eventually, production appears, reports, content, research, deliverables, then coordination, then measurement, then optimization. And slowly, something strange happens. The founder stops doing the work and starts directing the work. Not unlike a conductor standing in front of an orchestra. Except this orchestra never sleeps, never takes a vacation, never quits, and keeps getting better every few months without being asked to. But if this model is this powerful, why do so many people walk away from it after just a few months? Because almost everyone makes the exact same mistake. They automate judgment too early. AI is exceptional at execution, far less reliable at responsibility. It can draft a proposal in seconds, summarize a call perfectly, generate content non-stop, organize a decade of information overnight. But there are still moments where even the most advanced founders hesitate. Refund decisions, negotiations,
I demand a full refund.
difficult conversations with a client who's upset.
Look,
Anything that
understand
once sent can't be unsent. Picture it plainly. An automated refund policy quietly approves the wrong claim at scale for a week before anyone realizes what happened. That's not a hypothetical. That's the exact moment most of these businesses start to rot from the inside. Quietly, invisibly, long before the founder notices anything is wrong. And that's where the businesses that actually survive seem to converge on the same rule. They don't remove humans entirely. They relocate them. Away from labor, toward decisions. Away from execution, toward judgment. That's the one job nobody hands over. Not because AI can't attempt it, but because the cost of it being wrong is too asymmetric. And that's a profound shift if you sit with it. Because for centuries, labor is what created leverage. Now, leverage is what creates labor. I'm curious where people actually draw the line on this. What would you personally never hand over to AI? Decision-making? Money? Customer relationships? Or would you go all the way and automate almost everything? And maybe that's the real story unfolding right now. Not that companies are disappearing, but that they're shrinking dramatically. The distance between one person and an entire organization is collapsing in real time. And when a capability that used to be rare suddenly becomes accessible to almost anyone, the number of people building with it tends to explode. That's happened before, more than once. And each time, the same thing occurred right after. The bottleneck moved. Not capital, not hiring, not talent. It moved to attention, judgment, taste. The ability to decide what the workers should actually be doing. Because when everyone eventually has the workers, the advantage shifts entirely to knowing what to tell them. That's the part almost nobody is preparing for. So if our last video asked, can a company really operate without employees? This one answered a harder question. How do they actually function day to day without falling apart? But there's still one question waiting. What happens the moment this stops being rare? When 10,000 founders have the same tools, the same AI workforce, the same playbook you just watched. Because leverage stops being leverage the second it becomes normal. And whoever figures out what comes after that is building the next thing worth watching for. If you want to understand what these companies actually look like and how ordinary people are already building them, subscribe. Because next, we're exploring exactly what happens when everyone gets access to the same digital workforce. And it changes who wins.